Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for educational purpose only. This is all my theories, speculations, and nothing else. I'd like to give a couple of shout outs before I start this clip. I'd like to start by sending my love and respect to my subscribers, my family members. I consider them as family. Most of my subscribers have been with me in this channel from the very beginning of this case. They are my eyes, they're my ears. They're so respectful, mindful, and they have so much love for these 4 victims. They want the correct justice to be served. We have that in common. My next shout out is to Murder Metal Mayhem. I just love that man. He's really decent, respectful, and we share a lot of the same thoughts and ideas about the frats. Allegedly. I love to give a big shout out to Chaos Sector. They do lovely research. My next shout out is definitely to Birdie, Outcast. Look into his channel. He does lovely work. And he's very good in promoting every creator. Love and respect to that. Nika deserves a shout out. She works hard in this case, and so does all the other YouTube creators. My final shout out is to a friend of mine, Denise. She's going to open a new channel, Real Eyes Analyze. Like I told you all, she's always helped me with research. I always run to her if I need any advice in this case. She's a professional, respectful, decent, mindful human being. Please support her when she comes, because her research is on point, and we need people like that working on this case, definitely. Today I'd like to talk a bit about the air mail report. I spoke about this when it first came out, over a year and a half ago. Howard Bloom. What can I say about him? He's a good reporter, but he seems to be changing his thoughts and opinion, and that's not right. Airmail is important because it kind of exposes the 911 call before the 911 call ever came out. There were many people at the crime scene. That's important to know. The reason being, there was a knife sheath found next to Maddie. I've always believed that the knife sheath was planted there. You have a crime scene that wasn't called in for 8 to 9 hours. Wow, that should say everything. The eyes of a killer. So Howard Bloom wrote this. Sunday morning, 4 young corpse, all students, all friends, were found hacked to death in their beds in a pale clapboard house, little more than a stone thrown away from the heart of the university campus. There was so much blood. Now let that sink in. There was so much blood. It had seeped through the wooden floors and run down the building's grey concrete foundation in jagged red rivulets. Guys, I'm dealing with a sinus infection. Getting better now. I'm on medication. So if y'all don't hear my voice properly, I do really apologize. But the text is there, so you can read this yourself. All the town's 911 calls are routinely routed to Pullman, about 10 miles west in Washington State, and home to Washington State University, where they're handled by the civilian employees of a municipal agency called Whitcomb 911. The calls came in from the local Whitman and Ascertain counties, as well as the city of Moscow, two universities with a total about 42,000 students, and 70 additional municipal and county agencies. And the dispatch crew's local newspapers report are severely understaffed. The overtime schedules often add up to grueling 20 hours each week. In fact, the Dispatchers Guild has complained that our ability to uphold public safety is at risk. And things only get worse on football weekends. I'm sure there's the vandals. Therefore, when the callers are agitated rather than risk injuries, delays by probing details, that responders swiftly assign a generic explanation. So they have it tough when it's a football time. Let's not forget what the vandals are capable of doing. These are the same people who did Tim Reed dirty. 48 to 50 of them assaulted the young boy because he did not invite them to his party. So we are capable of understanding what the football teams, the Vandals, is about. Just the name should say everything. Vandals. Now let's get to the 911 call. Unconscious person is one of the standard catchphrases. It can mean precisely when it says, or it can be shorthand for something more ominous. It was 11:58 on Sunday, November 13th, 2022, when the notification of an unconscious person at a residence on 1122 Kings Road, Moscow, came in. So keep in mind, it was an unconscious person. 11:58 a.m. on Sunday, November 13, 2022, when the notifications of an unconscious person at a residence on 1122 Kings Road, Moscow, was passed on to Surgeon Shane Gunderson. Gunderson, that's a very Scandinavian name. Gunderson, who on that day was midway to a 12-hour shift that had started at 6 a.m., was running the operation division as the sparkling modernist it was. It had opened barely 11 months earlier, Southview Avenue Police Headquarters. It was a quick trip. The roads leading into the university neighborhood that Sunday was empty as the classrooms, and as soon as Gunderson's black and white cruiser pulled up behind the rear row of cars parked in the driveway of the Oyster Castle House on Kings Road, but immediately knew something was very wrong. So it was quiet. He immediately knew something was very wrong. It was a noise. There wasn't any. Just an eerie, unnatural silence. A cluster of young people, university students, presumably, were milling outside the open front door of 1122 like gulls as a beach. So there were many of them hanging around in front of the house. And yet they were exceptionally quiet. They weren't merely subdued. They seemed stunned, as if drained by deep and intense shock. When the three mystified officers approached the front door, someone in the crowd, it would later be shared, muttered a single plaintive word: dead. Wow. So let's start with, there were three officers that came to the scene. There was a crowd standing in front of 1122 Kings Road, like gulls on a beach. They muttered the word dead. Still, Gunderson would confess to the others he was unprepared for the strong smell of blood that rose up in his nostrils the moment he walked inside. Pay attention to that. So the place was smelling of strong red liquid. But yet again, we have DM and BF who did not smell it. Or maybe the smell didn't bother them. It's one of the two. If it hit the officer's nostrils, let's not forget, police officers are trained. They are the first people to enter a crime scene, usually, if it's not the suspects themselves. Like this case, in my opinion. So he already smelled that strong blood in his nostrils. The coroner, who had once been an emergency room nurse in an earlier stage of her life, would describe the scene in press interviews as chaos. Lots of blood. Few others would have even attempted to put into words what they saw. So it was so shocking people didn't have words. Obviously not. We are talking about 4 people unalived. 4. So you can imagine how much blood was on the scene. You can imagine the strong smell of blood in the scene. Let's not forget, the front door was left wide open. According to a neighbor who was on his way to work, he witnessed that at 8:30 a.m. When the Chief Fry, was asked about that at the press conference, guess what? He did not know about that. That was news for him. So I don't know how they missed that. Chaos, lots of blood. And so Gunderson and his 2 officers, largely mute, almost robotic in their movements, now stepped carefully across the blood-streaked wooden floor. Across the blood-streaked wooden floor and proceeded to inspect a crime scene. Just hold on. You must have seen my last clip. This was the picture that was sent to me from a very close source. Look at the date and the time. The person found it on 9th May. That's 2.5 weeks ago. In the clip, the first thing that I noticed besides the timeline, DM is showing a finger at 3:33, if that is true, allegedly. What caught my attention besides the time and besides these 2 girls up to no good is the flow. Not only DM's legs, I don't know, she has blood, allegedly, or she's injured herself. I don't know what this other girl is holding in her hand. But pay attention to the wooden floor. Doesn't that look like red liquid? Is that what Officer Gunderson was talking about? This case is like a puzzle, I hate to say that. But the pieces are falling in place, bit by bit. Although it's taking 2 years, I always believe whatever's in the dark will come to the light. God doesn't like evil. Evil acts has no place in this world, especially with our young children, young victims whose life was about to start. Who made them God and decide to end someone's life? I'm not saying that's what they did, but whoever did this horrific crimes, I don't believe is one person. And if there were so many people in the scene, they could have done it and framed BK. Something tells me BK was in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were using him as their bait, as their scapegoat. From the beginning of this case, when I started, I came in with an open mind, and I'm still here with an open mind. But I was the only YouTube creator who always said the frats, and people were trolling me for that. They were telling me I was seeing things. I have dug in and tried, believe me, blaming it on BK. But the more I dig in, it's the frats. I'm not saying BK is innocent, because I like to keep an open mind. The FBI and the whole Idaho Moscow police couldn't have just pointed the finger on BK. BK was around, but what was he doing around is what we need to find out. His knife sheet. What was his knife sheet doing there? Was it even his knife sheet? Was BK in this house to buy rugs? After seeing Bethany Funk is VENMOS, that she was dealing with rugs, COKE, people who are sending her direct words, put it under the dumpster for me. It's easy for me to believe that a recovering heroin addict could go into cocaine or pills or something else. And we've seen Emma in this house. I've showed you what BF was doing with the VENMOS. So my question is, could BF have been working with Emma and Demetrius? I believe that is the reason 911 wasn't called. This picture should say a lot, honestly. It should say a lot. DM needs to answer. Look at the date of the picture and the time. Strangely enough, the guy with the black mask was seen at 3:30. The picture was taken on Snapchat Geo. So there were people taking pictures around that time. Thank God that I've saved these pictures. Okay, so I looked at Dylan's VSCO page and she's got a photo with a boyfriend on there. Both were wearing ski masks. The right photo is the rumored ski mask photo that apparently seemed to be around the house at the time of the unalivings from Snapchat. You see the guy on the right? He took a picture. That picture went viral in the beginning of the case, the one with the black mask. I've compared it to many people, and for me, honestly, it looks like David B., allegedly. The one on the left-hand side is DM and a boyfriend, Quinn Kelly, from Boise, Idaho. But he said that he was never there, allegedly. What I'm trying to show you is how many people were taking pictures around that timing. It's kind of strange. The guy with the black mask, his picture was exactly at 3:30 that night, 13th November 2022. DM's picture was at 3:33. And then there were these pictures with DM and Queen Kelly with the mask. I'm going to make a part 2 soon because I'm trying to make them short. You can't have long clips because people get tired of it. So this is the part 1 of the airmail, and I'm showing you connections, things that I'm bringing together. The picture of DM and the other girl at 3:33 is not a fake picture. It's not a fake picture. She took many pictures. DM put it on VSCO. So DM, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I hope y'all can come clean for the sake of these 4 children who didn't deserve this. And if Brian Koberger is innocent, justice needs to be served, the correct justice. If he's guilty, he needs to be charged too. But I don't believe Brian Koberger is the only one. Please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. Apologize, I'm still recovering, so my voice sounds terrible. But I need to continue doing the case because I want the correct justice, and my subscribers want that too. Have a lovely Sunday.